All right, we're live and back in October 2023 for Shoe Geeks, where we're talking to two of the best footwear brains in the land, and the other guy. I'll let you two battle over who's that's going to be. I'm here joined by Nita from Spark Podiatry. What is it? Spark Sports.
It's a sports and arthritis clinic. I'm a podiatrist there, mate. Keep it simple.
Arthritis clinic.
Yeah.
Is that where people get their anti-aging drugs from?
You'll be close, won't you? I'll hear about your ankle arthritis every second episode on the main show.
Yeah. What do you? That's a pretty easy way to get those testosterones and growth hormones, isn't it?
No, mate. We make people move and exercise. That's how we accommodate arthritis.
Okay. All right. Nice. Good front. Also, Tom, he's from Pinnacle Podiatry. He's his own boss, Nitta. Tom is. He's his own small business owner, aren't you, Tom? Nitta wouldn't really know about
that. He's got a harder deal. I reckon he's a co-owner, and I can just do what I want, where he maybe has to, collaborate and all that sort of stuff. So
we've noticed you do what you want.
Learn a bit more. Yeah, I get held responsible for my decisions. You can do what you want. So
you calling me a cowboy?
Yeah, well, I don't know. After the 7:30 show last night, in terms of podiatry, you just never know, do you?
Yeah, that was the other thing we were going to chat about.
Yeah, we shouldn't give this person air. Yeah, I don't know if we should give that too much air, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're here to talk about shoes anyway, and maybe some podiatry stuff if we get that desperate. So we'll start. I reckon I'm going to start with you, Tom, this week, because Nitta's always up and about. So, Tom, we've shared the love of the same shoe this month, and it's been glorious because Nitta doesn't have a pair yet.
Yeah, so I'm kind of enjoying the fact that he doesn't have this shoe because I can tell that it's just eating him inside.
It really is. And I might even be hamming it up a bit just for him.
I like
it. Go on, talk to me about it. What is it? What are we loving?
We've both been trying out the new Nike Vomero 17. So I saw this a few months ago, just like a sample size, so I couldn't try it on. But yeah, after playing with it in my hand, I was quite excited to get it. So I got it about maybe just 2 weeks ago. And
where'd you get it from, Tom?
What's that?
Where'd you get it from?
I got it from Mike. So Mike is from Nike. I've known Mike since I was 15 years old, so he's helped me out now here and there with shoes. So
that's
thanks,
nice,
Mike.
Man. Nitta, you don't know Mike?
Nice.
No, we have no Nike affiliation here in Adelaide in terms of especially dealing with practitioners. But I guess he deals with you as a runner though, Tom, doesn't he? You probably got shoes when you were a winner Melbourne Marathon back then as well.
Oh yeah.
My original coach was you remember Grant Kremer?
Oh yeah, 800 meter runner.
Grant, knew Mike, and then I was starting to get some half decent runs on the board, and then that's where I was intro to Mike, and he gave me this like a Nike kit and a pair of it was like Pegasus. My first free pair of shoes were a Pegasus. I don't know, 20. No, not 20. It would have been like 25. It was in 2007 or something. And I just thought it was like the best day of my life, like a Nike, like a little shorts and singlet and shoes, socks. And I was like, this is like,
you still got it? You still got the singlet?
No, I don't actually. I don't know what happened to that singlet. I did have it for a long time. Yeah. But yeah, so getting back to the Vomero, like I know you boys have loved which Vomero was it that you guys loved? Or was it the 12?
13.
Yeah.
12, 10 to
12 and 13 were the same. 12 to 13 were the
I don't actually remember running in that shoe. I've never been a real big Vomero guy. I've historically been a Pegasus fan. So you'll be able to compare maybe this to previous, how it sits in the space for Vomero. But yeah, do you want to talk about it, Julian?
Yeah, I mean,
give
sure.
us some stats. Give us some stats on it as well. Like for one of those podcasts, we're talking about shoes. Give us the numbers.
Yeah. It's 40 to 30. So I believe it's about a 10 mil drop. It's relatively high stack. So 40 to 30. It's 2 layers of foam.
It doesn't look 30 in the forefoot. It does not look 30 in the forefoot.
It doesn't. Yeah, I don't know if it feels 30, but that's the tech spec. I haven't actually measured it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, really.
There's
no sidewall though, so everything you see there is stack.
That rear foot has to be a bit. Rear foot has sidewall.
There is sidewall back here, but at the forefoot, nothing.
Gotcha. No, forefoot, no sidewall. And that's why this looks lower than like a Hoka and a lot of other models, I would say, because a lot of models now are doing sidewall into the forefoot. So our perspective probably is a little bit.
Well, and they're lower drop, so you might have like 36 mil at the forefoot as well. And this is on that pitch, so you're obviously going to have a lower forefoot. But so Zoom X on top, you can sort of see in the layers there that look, it's not all the Zoom X is broken into 2 colors, so you can sort of see the split point here. And then as you get down to the forefoot, there's it's probably a same sort of ratio towards the forefoot. Maybe a little bit more stability from that. I think it's React X in the under.
Is it React X? Is it?
I think it is React X.
I thought it was a Cushlon, an EVA.
Yeah. What's the difference?
I don't know.
Well, look at the Cushlon to the traditional EVA. I can't remember. React was the hybrid, wasn't it?
They never really said. I don't really think anyone knows what outside of Nike what the React is.
I don't think it matters, does it? Really? Oh, here I go. I got a tech sheet here. So let me read this tech sheet because we should do that. We probably let's look at the tech sheet. Makes sense to me to actually learn about the shoe. Infinity Vomero 17. Here we go. We got the Zoom X plus Cushlon 3.0 midsole.
Yeah.
So stack heights, forefoot, 29.5, heel 39.5. Good job there, Tom. In a men's 10, we're looking at 300 grams.
Yeah.
So in terms of specs, it's like a very traditional shoe. These days, it's like a modern take on a traditional shoe, I reckon.
We aren't seeing 10 mil heel pitch very often anymore.
No, and that's what feels good about it to me. Like I really like that rear foot because what is the stat? 80% of us land through the rear foot. And how many old people run that need a pitch?
Oh, look, even if the shoe doesn't have a pitch, I'm adding a pitch. So
I'm a fan of the pitch.
What's different that Nike's done in this shoe for me is like opened the forefoot up, and it's a really generous fit up here. So we're seeing it being a lot more forgiving to different foot types. I think Nike pigeonhole himself into being a really narrow, sort of like especially shallow through the bridge of the foot, through the midfoot area. Like in the past, they pigeonhole themselves into that foot shape. Whereas now it's almost like they've discovered that there's a whole other foot shape out there that people might want to wear their shoes. And that's the Vomero 13 was exactly that. It used to be able to fit different foot types, and it had a high pitch, and it was a really stable cushion neutral shoe. And
it wasn't complicated either from front to back, Cushlon midsole. And look, we'll go into it later on. It was a great long run shoe, right? The midsole was as good at the end as it was at the start. Yeah,
and so this for me, this is like the Pegasus Turbo back when it came out, 2018 maybe. I can't remember exactly. There was 2 models, the 1 and the 2. It changed a little bit through the upper and the 2, and then it disappeared. And it's come back with a little bit of juice in its arm here. So it's sort of like Peg Turbo on steroids in the fact that it's got 2 different layers of foam. And it's a lot more rigid than the old Peg Turbo was. So for me, it's more sustainable, more protective, suits a lot more people, a lot safer of a shoe. It's a bit more padded through the tongue, so it's more comfortable. It just ticks so many boxes for me. Like it's got a waffled outer sole, so it works on dirt roads. It works on asphalt. There is a little bit of slip on the wet asphalt, I noticed, because it rained here.
Is it a soft rubber? Like if you go on the roads, it doesn't make the shoe firm?
No,
it's
not
soft,
really.
It's not soft, but I actually don't mind it. It's like you can feel, because the midsole is so soft, the outsole doesn't need to be soft. And it actually just feels like it aids to the traction. It's like you've got, under your foot, you've got something nice. And to me, I ran in wet the other day in it, and it felt fine. It felt pretty good.
On the asphalt?
What's that?
On asphalt, on a road?
Yeah.
Tom doesn't run on dirt. Tom doesn't run on dirt.
Yeah, I don't know what dirt is. No, it actually felt fine. It was gripping fine on wet asphalt for me.
And look, how's it functioning, the midsole, Tom? Like, I mean, you compress the Zoom X pretty quickly. How's the Cushlon beneath it? Do you feel like you're bottoming it out at the end of a long run, or how's it playing?
So the Cushlon just feels like, I think the Cushlon's just slightly denser than the Zoom X, but it's not dense. Like, it still just feels like a soft EVA. But you remember the Epic React, like that shoe wasn't a high stat shoe, but that foam, I know this is Cushlon, but that may be an EVA. That foam lasted 1,000 Ks. Like
it did.
Yeah. So I feel like this is going. I don't know yet, but I feel like it's going to be durable. You don't get that bottoming out feel. I've only done 16. What have I done? No, the longest I've done is 12K in it.
But part of that shoe being like the Epic React made it feel soft because it had so much exposed foam as well at the end. I think often you put a lot of rubber on the outsole and it does stiffen it up a touch more. It feels a little bit firmer normally when you do that.
Yeah.
One of the real strong points for this shoe is the rear foot stability. So although it's a neutral shoe, Nike have often created platforms too narrow and unstable through their rear foot. Whether it's through like skiving the walls or just creating too much softness back there, or not enough width and platform. Whereas you can see here, like there's nice amount of flaring there. And there's a higher amount of Cushlon, so there's a bit more firmness. And the sidewalls go up to really cradle the foot. And even, like I ran 27 in this over hills on Sunday. And towards the end, you fatigue. You may be going down a hill. You're landing through your heel more. This shoe it's like an insurance policy back there. It's there when you need it, but you can also get going landing on your forefoot with some pop. So for me, all rounder. And we'll talk about a long run shoe later. This is the hallmarks of a long run shoe.
It's not. It doesn't feel fast like a Peg Turbo, but it feels lighter on foot than 300 grams.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel fast to me. I wouldn't put it in fast category. It feels like it doesn't feel like a slow jogging recovery shoe, but it doesn't feel like a lightweight trainer.
I may as well touch on it now. Bringing out the chopping board again. You can see what I'm talking about with the rear foot.
Yeah. So
the rear foot, like a lot of traditional shoes, like at the center of the heel will be in contact with the ground, whereas this one it starts that rear foot rocker just anterior to the heel. And this is like for me, and this is probably a very me problem. I don't like that about this shoe. I don't like the fact that so many models are getting such big rear foot rockers. When I stand in it, I feel midfoot. I feel like the drop is almost starting at the midfoot. And almost my heel is floating a bit. That sensation goes away as soon as I start running in the shoe to some extent. But yeah, I just wish. I just like the traditional feel of a shoe which doesn't have such a rocketed rear foot.
And look, is that purely perception, or is that a bit of risk of you had hamstring origin things pop up in the past year or so? Do you think that's a risk factor to it, or
comfort as well? It's comfort. Like I've got that perception in my head when I had like when I was wearing the Aurora from Brooks and some other shoe that had a big rear foot rocker, and I felt like my hammies were getting a bit tight in those when I did run in those shoes. But yeah, I think just perceptually, when I go back to running in, and I don't have many left now, like the traditional shoes, which just have a little bit more of a squared off rear foot, it just feels smoother. It just feels like it's like when you talk about running in like an Alpha Fly and you hit the sweet spot for me, just jogging, like my sweet spot is the lateral corner of the heel. Like I just lightly touch down on the heel as I contact, and I kind of like lose that sweet spot in these like aggressively rear foot rocket shoes. And when I'm jogging, I like to feel like, so
do you think companies,
what's happened in the Vomero for me is when I jog in it, I just naturally start shifting a bit more to a midfoot strike, and that feels more comfortable.
Do you think that's what they're going for? Do you think that's what they're going for with the design, or do you think that's just a consequence of the design?
I feel like they're just trying to facilitate the sagittal plane, like that motion, like from that contact to forefoot. So rather than just talking about forefoot rockers and designing forefoot rockers, they're thinking that maybe people need a rear foot rocker. I don't know if I think maybe we've gone a little bit overboard with the rear foot rockers. I don't know if the evidence is there that actually is helping everyone, whether it's
because that's not just Nike,
reduction, but
it's not just Nike doing that. Like it's many companies doing it, and you I mean, you can pitch your way out of that a little bit anyway, can't you?
Yeah, so I've put some heel wedges in the back, and it feels better. Yeah, but I think for most people they may like that feel. I don't know. There's probably only a small percentage of the population that they probably don't even know they may not even know that they don't like a rear foot rocker until they even know what it is and start playing around with different geometries. But I definitely know over the last 5-6 years that it's not something I love. But that's my only frustration with that shoe. Otherwise, like personally, it's an awesome shoe. The foam, like getting rid of the air unit in the forefoot, I think was a brilliant move because it just actually. I'll touch on that. I just got this. I've just been running in this guy as well.
Structure 25.
Yeah, Structure 25. So Nike Structure 25. Have you have either of you running this one?
I haven't run in it.
No.
Yeah, so this one is, I think it's just a Cushline. It might be the same, like a 3.0 Cushline, full midsole, just of that one sort of EVA foam. But they have got the 4-foot Zoom air unit in it.
Do you want the specs on it?
Yeah, what have I got here? So it's a 37-27 stack, so 10 mil pitch. It feels a bigger pitch than the Vomero, and I think that's just because it hasn't got such a big rear foot rocker. So the rear foot rocker, it's there, but it's just not as big. It starts
probably firmer as well,
but like closer to the heel. And what is it? It's 320 grams instead of 300 grams. So a little bit heavier than the Vomero.
Yeah.
Nice, like similar sort of like really sort of high durometer outsole. So really grippy. You can see with it, like it's just like that rear foot geometry is like it's quite wide. This is again that's part of how they're getting their stability in this shoe. It's really broad. But yeah, going back to the actual midsole makeup, like I don't know, the Zoom Air unit, like I can feel like I actually quite like the structure. Like I think I told you guys last time I prefer the structure to the Pegasus because it's softer, which is weird. Like the structure is a softer shoe than the Pegasus, which historically it hasn't been, but it has been recently, the recent years, I reckon. So, but I can feel the 4-foot, the Zoom Air unit. And I just don't know if I like feeling the segmentation of the midsole. It's a bit like feeling the Cloud Tech in On. I just I don't really want to feel like separate bits and pieces in the midsole. But yeah, I guess the possible benefit will be like durability, like that 4-foot cushion, like that Zoom Air unit doesn't wear out like the EVA will. So possibly that's a benefit for the 4-foot cushion, but. Yeah, I've really liked. I've done a little bit less in this shoe, but I've really liked it. So this is like new age stability. There's no posts. There's no like higher durometer foam. The whole shoe is the same density of foam. They have done on the rear foot. So unlike the Vomero, it's asymmetrical like geometry. So the medial side is a little bit convex, and then the lateral side's a little bit concave, so you get a little bit more compression on the lateral side, and it feels probably a little bit firmer on the medial side.
In store, Tom, we've already seen issues with that, like that lateral wall, just people crushing it. like a little bit more weight on the outside of the shoe.
Oh, really?
Gives. Yeah, definitely. Even have a see it. Look how sharp that cut is into the sidewall.
Yeah.
People must be hitting that part of the shoe really hard, staying there for a while.
They are. They sink down laterally into it.
Yeah, if you're a heavy heel striker, I guess. But like, I think if you're not smashing the heel, it's not. It's pretty stable. Like, to me, it doesn't feel like one of those super mushy, soft ones. What have you found with the medial wrap? So it's got like this. This is a ridiculously high midsole wrap on the medial arch area.
It's turned some people off.
Arch support.
It's turned some people off.
Yeah, I think anyone with a flat foot, they're going to hate it because it's just going to poke into the arch in a very unnatural way.
Yeah, a lot of people just put it on and go, "Oh, there's too much going on down there."
Yeah. I think if you got like a relatively normal arch height, high to normal arch height, you're not going to be bothered by it. But if you got a low arch, really muscular, wide midfoot, it's just going to poke into the soft tissues and probably be annoying.
All right,
so it's one of those ones you definitely got to try on.
We know Tom's been getting free shoes from Nike. Knitter, a couple of good reviews there from him.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like both of those shoes, I am actually pretty excited to see as well. But I got along okayish with the Infinity. You guys didn't, obviously.
That was horror. That is a horror. Like that is an absolute nightmare.
We're not coming back to it, all right, guys.
Okay, good. Stay away.
But look, 4 weeks ago I got the New Balance 1080. I reckon it's been the most advertised shoe on social media in the past 4 weeks.
Biggest marketing budget New Balance has ever had on a shoe.
So look, the stats first and foremost at about size 10. I reckon I got this at about 290 grams. For me, the stack height, I think it's 38, 32. So 32 in the forefoot. And it's a bit lower density. The Fresh Foam makes a bit lower density than its previous models. It does have a 4-foot rocker on it. It's probably not quite as exaggerated as the previous model. And as opposed to the heel counter, the previous 1080s had that sort of like curve away heel counter. This one's gone a bit more cushion, a bit more perpendicular, and a really soft tongue. Look, I've had this shoe for 4 weeks and I've worn it for 280 Ks. And I don't run half as much as you guys, literally half as much as what Tom does, less than half of what Tom's doing at the moment, 1/3 probably. So this has been 80% of what I've been wearing. And look, you guys are both. Actually, you ever worn this, Tom?
No, the last one I had was a V10 maybe.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. So it is one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever put on from 0 to 60 minutes of running, or at least 0 to 30 minutes of running. It ticks all the boxes. Like it's plush underfoot. Look, it might be a little bit too plush for some people, but it works well for me. 32 millimeters of forefoot feels fantastic when I'm running on it. The upper is just a knitted, comfortable upper. It's not designed to keep the foot in a massive lockdown by any means, which you probably struggle with a bit, Julian. But for me, a slightly mobile or adaptable upper adds to comfort for me. The rocker is not as pronounced, so it means if I'm on the forefoot, I get to try and, the flexibility of this shoe, as you mentioned, Julian, is actually, like I gave you a bit of stick about it, but it actually is a bit of a highlight of the shoe compared to other shoes I've been wearing. So it is quite natural, and the outsole has a lot more exposed foam than historical models, which once again makes the shoe feel softer again. The vertical, I mean, even the outsole itself is quite a soft rubber. I wouldn't say it adheres to the ground great by any means when it's wet, but it does the job. I've taken this shoe past an hour a few times, and I guess the issue is the foam's not the same after 60 minutes as it is from 0 to 60 minutes, so it definitely bottoms out a bit more. The only thing I will say, it's good timing we've had the podcast tonight, because at 280 Ks for someone who's predominantly on the forefoot, it feels pretty close to done for me, which is a little bit sad. I definitely will get another set of these as well. I'm not compressing the rear foot, but the forefoot and the rear foot for me now, when I'm walking in it, I can feel the pitch has now become like 15 mils. It runs off 6 mils, but it's become 15 mils because I've compressed the forefoot. It hasn't returned after the 280K. So one of the most enjoyable shoes that I have worn, and have biasly chosen for that. But maybe when we talk about the long run shoe later, maybe not a pure long run shoe. Haven't got the cheese board here, Tom, but does have a bit of a rear foot rocker. Does start a bit further back than what your Nike range is starting back, but still has it. obviously aesthetically. Have seen a couple people wearing this and pop up with a few Achilles issues at the clinic. Obviously, being association, not a cause, but really soft foam. Maybe they come from the previous 1080 that the heel count is a little bit more pokey in the back of the heel. So whether or not, people running a really compliant shoes, the tendons acting a bit stiffer compared to what they've had before. So that's just the other thing to note through here. But overall, marketing this shoe has been good. While I'm at it, though, a bit of a polarizing experience. So I had the Vongo, the 6th version through here, which has had a huge facelift. Its stats are, I got about 310 grams, so maybe about 10% heavier than what the 1080 is, and it runs at 27.21, so it's lower to the ground. They've done 2 different major things through. The upper feels pretty much the same, to be honest, with the knitted upper, a bit more mobile. Soft toe cap as well, Julian. You'd like the soft toe cap.
I do like them.
1080.
Both of them are good. Yeah.
Absolutely. But they do 2 things. They've got the 2 durometers of foam, softer near the foot and denser underneath this EVA plate. And the EVA plate strategically placed on the medial side a little bit higher and on the lateral side a little bit lower. You can see it sort of curve its way aggressively down into to try and create a bit of a Varus effect or a posting, so to speak. It is relatively stiff, I think. But I suppose once you put more body mass into it, you will flex it. I found I couldn't flex the shoe when I was running from the midfoot to the forefoot. I had to really work to get over the plate. And I reckon where they may have gone wrong here, while the surface area feels the same, it feels stable in all planes sagittally. It was almost too stiff in the sagittal plane for me that I reckon either one or 2 attributes had to go there. I'd either had to just have the durometer density be twice as dense through the midsole as a stability shoe, or have the plate, but not both. I found it to be quite slappy on the forefoot on the ground and just a firmer, more rigid experience. I reckon I need another 10 kilos of body mass to really be able to use that shoe to enjoy it. So, but once again, I don't know if that's skewed because a lot of the running I've been doing has been the 1080. So it's been such a polarizing experience because of the previous shoe I've worn. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Julian. You've done a fair bit in the 1080 now.
Yeah, the 1080 was a real delight when I first got a sample of it. I just went back to my Strava retired shoes, and I think I had a sample of that around this same time last year. And I remember thinking, oh, this is way more flexible than what I'm used to. And that's a concern for me, but I was able to run in it and feel really good on the runs that I did. I just felt natural. It felt smooth to me. It did feel soft. I reckon the sample I had was a bit firmer than what's been released in production because I didn't remember it feeling that soft. But I just looked at the amount of Ks that I had on it before I retired it, and I started to get an Achilles niggle at 209 Ks. That was it for me. And look, I will retire a lot of shoes at 300, 400.
Absolutely,
but, yeah. 209. That shoe was done. It was spent.
Yeah,
it was a great 209, but it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it's a classic trade-off.
Oh, definitely.
We saw it with the Asics. A couple of years ago, like the Nimbus Light.
Nimbus Lights, yep.
Like
exactly.
just low density EVA feels great, but doesn't last.
Absolutely. Yep.
So even like within our training group, we've got a 1080 wearer who she developed a plantar issue almost immediately from the shoe because of how flexible it was and how soft it was.
Also got to mention that because it's a 6 mil pitch, for example, and the shoe is really soft, and there's a mini rear foot rocker through there, and the heel counters come in the other way from the previous one. There are a couple of elements for a bit more rear foot load in that shoe. It doesn't feel 6 mils to me. It feels lower when you're functioning in it. So yeah,
me too. And like for me, I run on a dirt road or a light trail, and I stand on the wrong part of the trail and my foot sinks laterally in that shoe because that's what happens when you step on tree roots or rocks or corrugations. The upper's not strong enough to hold me on the shoe. I go over. I don't feel safe in that.
Look, that's you definitely, but I'll tell you what, Tom, when I put this shoe on for the first time and I took it out the door, I just had so much Epic React vibes, obviously being a bit softer and a bit higher off the ground because the upper was a bit compliant, allowed my foot to move a bit more. The forefoot had more exposed foam. It just had those really enjoyable, easy run feels, but maybe on the slightly softer, higher side. So I can understand if you don't like a mobile upper, but geez, that's like my comfort filter, those attributes. So if you do like to move that way, the shoe you put it on, it's hard to say the shoes. It'd be easy sale, Julian, surely an easy sale in the shop.
Temptation is there for soft, and we have to educate the customer on what this looks like for them. And so, like soft, people get sucked in. They're like, "Oh, wow, this is spongy. Oh, there's a bit of rocker to it. It feels light. The upper's so comfy." And
sometimes you got to let people go and experience it, though, Julian. Sometimes sometimes they find themselves there, mate.
We certainly have. It's been a successful shoe in store. I just wonder, and I'm gonna try to set up a system where we have that returning customer, and whether they ask for it again or whether they go, I want something more stable that lasts longer. Because I don't see it as like the daily trainer that maybe you see it as. I think
absolutely.
It's way too soft for that.
It's replaced the Nimbus 25 for me in a lot of sense, but look, it is a bit less durable. It is a bit, at first feel, it's more comfortable than the Nimbus 25, but maybe after 45 minutes, I reckon, it changes a bit. The Nimbus 25 stays a bit more comfortable and the 1080 sort of disappears a bit. Yeah.
I'd take that shoe off after an hour. I think I ran 65 minutes and I took it off at the end of the run. And I just went like this, and the whole thing just like curled into a ball. It totally changes how it feels.
Well, tell me about the Vongo then, because I reckon it's gone a bit too far the other way. I don't know if they needed to plate it up plus do a double density foam. So,
well, this is where, like, I know what we do in a store, taking sort of frontal plane footage, looking at eversion rates. Now, you can take a shoe like the Structure or the new Kayano to a degree, even the new Vomero, and we get a pretty strong, stable base out of that shoe where if we have a moderate degree of pronation, then we can sort of take it away. Like we can not take we can limit the rate and we can limit the end point of how far that foot pronates using these shoes and these shoe geometries. I haven't seen the Vongo provide any type of control whatsoever to any person. In fact, some of it's even less stable.
2 points of that margin is because it's too dense at the rear foot through here. So if you do hit laterally, it will shift quicker. You can't compress it all. And also that rear foot rocker through here, you don't really hit that part of the plate that essentially is going to direct you towards, the posting as well. So they've really focused too much on making the sagittal plane too stiff on this shoe as a control feature. I don't know if they need to do that.
What you just said, Dan, about having that foot pronate quickly early, I've seen that on multiple customers the last few days where that shoe...
It's too stiff.
Yeah, absolutely. Even before it gets to mid-stance, the foot is in this pronated, everted position. And it looks contrastingly, like stark different to other shoes that they've had on already.
Here's what's happening. So look, when you've got a upper that's exactly the same as a 1080, which while it's aesthetically different, it functions the same. I can compress this lateral foam on the 1080 and move it progressively, compress across the line from lateral to medial, and this upper doesn't play a role, but I can't compress this one. So what happens is the limitation becomes I can't compress the midsole, so the upper becomes the limitation as to whether it's going to block me from moving medially or laterally. But the upper's compliant and it's mobile. So I'm almost falling. I hit a little bit externally rotated. I almost fall off the midsole for this shoe because I can't compress the midsole. So the upper's my control feature in this shoe. Whereas I don't need to worry about this because the midsole is conforming to me hitting the ground. The upper doesn't need to work quite as much. But I think surely they must test this. They must know this happens in the lab.
They do a lot of testing. They do a lot of testing.
Yeah.
But the same testing has come back and told us that 1080 is stiffer than their last few. Like the longitudinal stiffness is increased in that, yet it's never really felt like that to me. So sometimes you can you can test things and get data. How it translates to the actual real world, that's a different story. And that's also a brilliant segue into, sorry,
That's a. I just thought it was a common sense feature, but you go through the next segue.
Yeah, all right. Well, this next segue is you blokes cherry picking the science that suits your own bias. So we had a chat the other day. Tom wrote in the group, PIBA is more durable than EVA. And I hadn't written back. At all, but I was considering writing back, debating him on it. And I didn't even need to, because science.
You didn't write back because you knew I was right, and you were questioning everything.
I was questioning what I could use to prove my point, and then someone came along and delivered it on a platter for me.
But it's confusing still.
So let's run it through. Tom, who knows this study better? You or
Tom knows it. Tom's been losing sleep over it.
Yeah.
No, I haven't really. I had a look at. I had a brief look through it. So yeah, how did we come up with? Why were we talking about PIBA and EVA?
No,
I can't even remember.
Let me go back through our message group. You continue.
Yeah,
so
I can date back. Remember, historically we talked about the modern day racing flat was more durable than the old racing flats. Yeah. But old racing flats were thin EVA versus lots of PIBA. So lots of PIBA versus thin EVA is a different metric to what this study was looking at, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so literally a few days after you had no reply to that comment I made, you kindly tagged me in Lab Rat Rundown's Insta post, and he did basically a summary of a study that just came out. So this study, I've got it up here. Influence of different midsole foam in advanced footwear technology, use on running economy and biomechanics in trained runners. So it literally just came out. One of the authors is Hukamer, he did the original Vaporfly 4% study. So that was a familiar name. So basically they used two types of shoes. I think they were both provided by On. So one was a PIBA-based midsole, one was an EVA-based midsole. And I had like questions about like, okay, but what about the weight? What about carbon plate? So I went and had a look, and they actually matched it pretty well. So weight was essentially the same, longitudinal stiffness, because they both had carbon plates, stack height, essentially the same. So those characteristics that can affect running economy were all pretty much controlled for. So they could sort of, I guess, postulate that the results would be more based on the actual material properties than any other features. So they had 22 trained runners doing running economy. They did some biomechanical testing, but interestingly, with the running economy, so as you'd expect, brand new EVA versus PIBA. The PIBA shoes had the runners had it was like less energy cost, so they were more economic in the PIBA shoe. It was only 1.9% on average. So less, like maybe half of what we might expect based on other studies and repeat studies after the 4% study. So that's one point. This study showed less than most other studies benefit EVA versus PIBA.
What was the EVA durometer? Do you remember?
I don't think it actually said the durometer. So that's one thing.
Very different. That can vary greatly, can't it?
And I'm sure the PIBA durometers can vary a little bit as well, depending on how much they pack it.
Oh, that's going to be one of my point. Like, just like EVA, you can have one EVA that's like super durable. You can have one EVA that's like not durable at all. And it'd be the same with PIBA. You'd have some PIBA shoes that are quite durable, some PIBA shoes that aren't durable. I thought because how long do they wear them for? 450K. So that was new, and then so they had the researchers themselves to make sure that it actually happened. The researchers ran in the shoes. They put 450K into the shoes, and then they got them to run in the participants to run in them again. And like I said to you, I messaged you, like when I looked at the actual results, there was actually a trend in the EVA shoes that it wasn't statistically significant, but it was like a trend that actually were more economical after 450K in the EVA shoe. So I don't know how that works. So they not only so essentially there was no difference in the EVA when it was after 450k, but the PIBA shoes I think it was on average 2.3% worse than what it was new, which meant that statistically it was the same, but trending that the PIBA actually got worse than the EVA after 450k in terms of running economy. So interesting study.
Yeah, let's just go. Let's just draw a conclusion from it for the listeners, because getting a bit technical here.
Oh, sorry.
So take a Vaporfly, take a Pegasus. So the Vaporfly after 450k is less economical than the Pegasus, correct?
No.
Yeah, well, no.
The change was like it became less economical relative to its original standard, but it doesn't mean the baseline economy for wearing the Vaporfly would still be worse than the Pegasus.
In this study, it was. In this study, with these particular models, yes. But to that point, no. In no way in the real world would the Vaporfly
absolutely
become less economical.
What do you mean? Science is wrong, Tom.
Absolutely not. That can't be the case. I mean, look,
science is wrong this time because you don't believe it.
No, I believe it in this exact scenario. But that is the only way I believe it. That exact model compared to the other exact model. I will probably believe this study because I think the researchers are probably respectable. But
But so if we're talking on shoes, we could be talking like Cloud Boom Echo and the Stratus, right?
And no, they would be comparing to the Super Shoe originally wasn't EVA, wasn't it? The original one wasn't EVA, was that right?
What? Sorry,
the original Echo Boom wasn't EVA, wasn't it? It wasn't a PIBA originally.
No, we're talking about the current one, right? When was this study done?
Yeah, this year, just done.
So On supplied the shoes, so you got to assume that they're current shoes in the range. Should ask Jordan.
Yeah, no, I don't. To be honest, I don't think it's an actual what's the word, commercial shoe. I don't think you can purchase the EVA model.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I don't think because it's too matched. It like they're matching the weight. They've both got carbon fiber plates.
There's a carbon fiber plate in the EVA shoe too.
Yeah. There's too many other attributes in there. Yeah. And even the weight,
because
I mean, even the weight scenario, like even the stack height itself. I mean, I'm assuming the stack height was controlled for as well, Tom.
Yeah.
Because I mean, imagine trying to get a low durometer EVA up compared to a low durometer PIBA up, put the carbon plate in it, and get them both to 40 mils, and try and experience both those shoes. Look, in the real world, it doesn't exist, does it? We don't have those shoes, those high EVA shoes with plates that are. Don't know.
All right, so we'll strike that out, and we'll just say no conclusion drawn. No one wins that argument.
Common sense will prevail, and we've been running in these shoes long enough now that we know. For example, and another example I'll throw at you is like Nova Blast versus Super Blast, or Nova Blast versus the Vaporfly. Like that EVA in the Nova Blast is not going to last the same as the PIBA in a Next Percent or the PIBA or the nylon-based PIBA thing, whatever the turbo foam is. The turbo foam is way more durable than the EVA foam.
I don't know.
Look, there's more of it as well. The issue is there's more of it as well. That's the other thing. So like if you cut that turbo down to the same height as the Nova, it probably wouldn't be too far apart. But I reckon the experience when you're running faster, you keep your economy higher at the end of life of that shoe more than the other one, I would say.
All right, this is the last. Yeah. This is the last comparison we're going to do. We're going to move on. Original Vaporfly versus original Zoom Fly. You cannot tell me that original Zoom Fly was less durable than original Vaporfly.
No durability. You mean economy for durability? It keeps its attributes, or do you mean it would last longer without deteriorating the foam?
Both.
Different question. Vaporfly stays more economical for its whole life, but the Zoom Fly lasts longer.
At no point is there a crossover. The Zoom Fly never becomes more economical.
No, not more economical, but loses less. Maybe,
it might lose less.
Which is the definition of durability. That is the definition of durability.
But the real question is a runner, are we still want to pay for the PIBA, or do we want to just say, oh no, PIBA actually isn't that good because it becomes like an EVA shoe after 400K? Like, we're still always
people will pay for the experience. That doesn't make you right. That's you're changing the goalpost now.
Okay, there's a big note. Just remember the lab rat guy who said at the end, he said he compared wearing even an alpha fly, at the stage of 0 kilometers and 450 kilometers, and found that the economy change was negligible after 450 Ks as well. So suddenly you've got this shoe that has other attributes. I know it's got pods, it's got more rubber, etc. It's got the plate, it's got the foam. That shoe remained economical after 450 Ks. Different study was N=1, I know, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
This one, right? 13 people. It's not a lot.
It's 20 odd, wasn't it?
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, 20 odd.
All right.
So,
next question.
fair enough.
Next question. Move on.
No, I reckon so. Just finally on that point, I see it. I see the PIBA. I see PIBA somewhere between, in terms of durability. I think you got to agree with me. It's somewhere between EVA and TPU, right?
Agreed.
We know the boost foam.
You're
not going to argue that the boost foam is not bloody the most durable foam that's out there. It's heavy, but it's so durable, that TPU stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like it's somewhere between EVA and TPU.
No,
agree with me.
Whatever. You can have it. All right, quickly. What makes a long run shoe? So firstly, we'll go to Nitter. I want to hear what you look for in a long run shoe compared to what you look for in an everyday easy shoe.
I'll give you my definition first. The shoe deteriorates not significantly from the last half of the run relative to the first half of the run. So the shoe feels as good at the end almost as it does. I know it will never feel as good maybe, but it does get close to that. The shoe needs to be magic in the last half of the long run, basically.
All right. It's a bit of a lead in from the last question, isn't it? So how does a shoe achieve that?
Look, I usually think the foam needs to be a little bit more resilient. So meaning that by the time you are hitting the ground after 1 hour, for example, it's returning back to you at a similar rate it did at the start of the long run. So you still feel like you've got a midsole that's the similar height off the ground. And look, for me personally, the other thing is usually the shoe has to be on the slightly lighter, more economical scale. So if the long run does get going at the end of a period of time, I feel economical doing that. I feel like my timing on the ground's a bit better. So I usually like to have a shoe that's a little bit lighter weight and a slightly more responsive foam, which is usually more resilient anyway. That'd be my major walkaway points.
What are you using right now that's a great long run shoe, and what isn't a good long run shoe for you?
Look, the greatest shoe that's been made for long runs is the Super Blast. Anyone who thinks there's a shoe better than that for long runs is kidding themselves. What is not good is the Nike Zoom Invincible, or currently this 1080.
Oh, perfect. It gets good answer. Tom,
I would just add to that. So I'd agree. I really appreciate something that's a little bit lighter for the long run, just because I do like to pick up the pace. And going with that, obviously, is the response as well and the durability of the response during the run. The only other thing is like just the level of cushion. So it's high. I prefer it to be high stack. It's almost like it's the muscle trauma side of things. Like it's a long run. So if you have a little bit more cush closer to a max stack, I prefer that as well.
So based off your boys' answers, you would have no qualms wearing super shoes on long runs.
No, and I have done. If there's any sort of a license to put an effort in my long run, I have worn a super shoe before. I try not to do it too much because I still feel like it's a bit of a cop out. But I have done it.
So there's no other caveat on a long run shoe around stability or not being too rigid or rocket or anything like that?
Look, it depends where you're running. Is where you're the same, Julian. Like I'm running half trail, half road on my long runs predominantly. So look, the shoe having a wide surface area is enough stability for me. And look, I'm biased because I like an upper that allows me to move a little bit more as well because I'm on the forefoot. So I don't love a great lockdown for a long run, to be honest. It's I prefer the opposite a little bit.
Yeah.
More like a super shoe. Yeah.
That again is why it goes to why the Super Blast is such a good long run shoe, because it mixes the super shoe elements, but in a more stable platform. So I do appreciate the stability in a long run shoe. I think just from a safety aspect, fatigability, and then not picking up a niggle.
But there must not be one company right now not looking at the Super Blast and thinking, how can we replicate this as a long run shoe? Surely it's got to be as clear as day. That's been the money ball. So
yeah, and look, they're coming out. We're seeing them. We're seeing them compete now. It's like the brands when they saw Hoka. We're seeing the Super Blast copies come out, which I'll get into at some stage in a later episode. But for me, I got a few things that are different to what you guys have. I need, in a long run shoe, I need that. I can't be jammed at the toe. Like, I need a little bit more clearance at the toe, because we run. In 20K, we'll run 400 meters. And so I'm going downhill a lot. And so my long run shoe has to be a forgiving fit in the toe box. I can't be jammed at all. I like a little bit more firmness rather than softness for my long run shoe. I don't feel like I want to get sloppy towards the end either. And having a good, fit through the midfoot if we head to the trails. Like, these aren't trail shoes, but this Vomero certainly wraps me up better than the 1080 does. And so I know if I hit a 5K section of single track, this shoe will cater for that. A shoe like the 1080, a shoe like the Nimbus 25 would not cater for that. And even the Super Blast, borderline, little bit too kind of high stack, too soft for some of the areas that we run. But no, the Super Blast is still my go-to for sure.
It's not that soft.
It's not that soft. It's a bit more resilient. It's still soft. The thing is, the shoe almost becomes a bit softer by the end of the long run to the softness you want it to be. Whereas at the start of the run, I'd argue it doesn't actually feel as soft as you want it to be at that point in time. That's what makes it a long run shoe.
Yeah, we have very different long runs too, all three of us. So the shoe requirements will be different. But I also like having something towards the rear foot that I can rock back on. That it just looks after me more when I get tired. I'm not as maybe I'm not as efficient as you two gazelles out there. So I need something to look after me. But from my range now, shoes that aren't long run shoes, Kayano, no good. Nimbus 25, no good. Both too heavy. Super Blast, amazing. Vomero, very good. Super Comp Trail, no good.
Why is Super Comp Trail no good?
Too firm. Too firm. Yeah, it's not soft enough for me for the longer one. It's a bit too aggressive. It's plated.
I'm thinking back now what shoes I used for long runs before the Super Blast, because it feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah.
But look, the last one I did probably enjoy. Like, I didn't mind the Saucony and the Triumph. It was like, you know, that combination of, that was decent. The Cloud Monster wasn't bad either. The foam was just a little bit more resilient. I could probably do a long run on the Cloud Stratus 3 now, but it's probably on the heavier side. So, and then historically, that's why I think I loved the Vomero 12 and 13, that Cushline midsole all the way through. And it was relatively high stacked at the time. That was a great long run shoe. So, but between those years, I can't think of it all. Maybe I wasn't doing long runs. So.
There was older 1080s that were very good. The 1080 used to be a real good mix of
it did actually, even the night. Yeah, true.
Yeah. That was always my go-to for the longer stuff. All right, cool. That's good. That's what we talk about in the store as well, like around what you're going to use your shoe for. So it's nice to sort of
good topic.
Hear your boys' thoughts.
Next
more
month
thing.
We can talk about Easy Day. What's an Easy Day?
Oh yeah,
shoe?
yeah. Good.
I go first. I hit the ground hard. I like it to be super plush, and I like it to be flimsy, and I like it to accommodate me just landing a bit more on the midfoot.
Next month.
Next month.
Don't give it away.
Okay. Well,
yourself.
You just pick the other shoe, don't you? The ones you don't like for the long run.
Nida, I've got a topic for you. Because I just watched a shoe review before. It was by was it a podiatrist? Is that person
I don't remember
that we Tom, you sent it, so I don't know. But
he may have been a podiatrist.
All right. So
was he a podiatrist? I don't remember. Yeah.
Basically, like, one of the big takeaways from the review was that the shoe was actually endorsed by the Australian Podiatry Association. And so when I heard that, I thought, oh, wow, like, these guys assess and analyze shoes and make endorsements based on their assessments and analysis. And I wonder if that shoe is endorsed, why this shoe here is not endorsed by the Australian Podiatry Association. Because I love this shoe, and I don't particularly like the shoe that got reviewed and endorsed. So would you mind just running us through the nuts and bolts of that, Nida?
So I've had time to think about this to not get myself into strife. So look,
why would you get in strife?
Well, look, I obviously when there's a reason for two companies to get together and have a relationship, in this scenario, I believe it was Hoka and the Australian Podiatry Association as an endorsement. The first and foremost thing, I think the reason is because one, Hoka want to be seen in the environment of podiatry world as a shoe that's going to help the population with pain and provide them with a shoe environment that's, I think the Podiatry Association would consider very low risk and causes no harm, I would say. But it gives them some exposure to that area. So there would have been a monetary involvement from, Hoka towards the Podiatry Association to create an endorsement or a visible presence from those who are part of the podiatrists who are part of the Podiatry Association. And, they might get, given, I guess, education flyers and maybe direct patients towards these particular shoes, or get given more education on Hoka as providers. And look, I mean, some podiatrists might not even know Hoka. They work in rural areas, but they're part of the Podiatry Association. Now they will. So it's definitely the relationship. That's why the endorsement occurs. I mean, we see ASICS have had a great relationship with SMA since the 1980s. And look, that's definitely probably had an effect on why practitioners have created embody ASICS with fixing foot ailments, while Nike aren't related to fixing foot ailments. But Nike also have a lot of finances behind them. They don't need an endorsement by the Podiatry Association, I don't think. So I don't think it's in their best interest to head down that pathway. I think they probably are doing well in many other avenues of sales, for example. What do you think, Tom?
Don't track.
Wait, can I just jump in there?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You're telling me that the Australian Podiatry Association endorses that shoe because Hoka have paid them money?
What do you think the endorsement was, for the shoe or for the company?
Well,
it was just for what?
It was I don't actually remember. For the shoe.
I think it was.
I believe they've endorsed a few models.
Okay,
but I'm not sure. I believe.
Well, look, I mean, I don't think they're endorsing it without getting something. I don't know the story, whether it's whether their members get discounts. Do we get discounts for Hoka, Tom? I have no idea. I don't know actually. I don't know if it's
most brands.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, look, the Podiatry Association also have other endorsements with like some templated insoles, other footwear brands, I believe, and footwear brands for day-to-day walking. I think there is plenty of endorsements between organizations. I mean, podiatry is small on that scale. I think ASICS have been endorsed by the Australian Physiotherapy Association for many years, specifically the Kayano, I believe. That's always had the APA endorsement label on it when you sell the shoe, I think.
Yeah, so this was the Sports Med Australia tag on one side, and it's got
exactly
the APA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's got to be going on 10, 15 years, maybe longer. I think that's just when I was a kid at school that was happening. So, So, look, I don't know. I mean, look, does it say it on the box when you sell it in the shop, Julian? Like, does it?
I guess seen it. That's why I was so surprised to see this shoe, and I thought maybe I should know about this. Maybe there's something magical about this shoe that the other shoes don't have.
Look, the one thing everyone needs to understand about an endorsement, it doesn't mean that other shoe models aren't doing more or less the same thing. Like you said, Vomero is a high quality shoe and it would work for a lot of people. And endorsements, unfortunately, they aren't created by, someone who's giving just the best overall global advice. For example, there's always a bias one way or the other, and there's probably something monetary involved. I don't know the specifics behind it, but I'm assuming it favors both parties somehow. They've come to an arrangement.
So you're telling me I should just look at these endorsements or these recommendations with a different sort of tint, maybe. Because I trust you. You're a podiatrist.
Yeah.
You are the part of the Australian Podiatry Association, and I trust what you say. And so if you're telling me that there might be some sort of financial bias or incentive for you to recommend a shoe, then that worries me.
Yeah, but look, there's never incentive for the practitioner to refer off for the shoe, is there? Unless it cheapens our membership somehow.
Reviewing a shoe.
Oh, look, it's real. Look, first and foremost, at least probably what they have done is realize this shoe, if you do endorse it to lots of people, it probably doesn't cause harm. And I don't know. I mean, look, endorsements of shoes probably don't cause too much harm, I'd say, because as we know, shoe reviews are relative anyway, aren't they? So sometimes the review itself is going to hurt 20 people. It's going to save 20 people, and then 20 people it has no effect on, for example. So
I'm going to ask Tom this question then. You a board member or something, Tom?
No, I'm not. No.
All right.
I'm a board member of the Sports Podiatry Association, and we do not endorse any brands or products.
Okay. So, I'm going to throw this to you. If a brand like Vivo Barefoot came out with a very large sum of money to the Australian Podiatry Association, do you think there would be endorsement involved, or would there be a little bit more assessment and analysis before a shoe is endorsed?
No, there wouldn't be. I don't think. I think. Well, Tom, you go.
I'm not part of the. I mean, I'm a member of APOD, our Australian Podiatry Association, but I'm not privy to how the process works. I believe there's, I think there's a group of people who are involved in the endorsement process. So it's a collab. It's like, it's a group of people. I do not know how they come to the conclusion of how it's going to be approved, and I haven't looked at. I mean, I know with our association, the Sports Podiatry Association, the financials are available to members. So I assume if I really wanted to, I might be able to have a look at APOD's financials and see whether how much money is actually involved. I don't even know if that information is available to members. I think it should be, but
it probably is. It probably is somewhere along the line. So, and you probably can request it. But look, I don't know how objective the process is of endorsement. So we can't answer that, Julian, which is interesting. And
I think bottom line is we don't put a lot of weight into it personally as practitioners, as you would know. We're not going to be swayed by a label that the association has placed upon any shoe. So I don't think I'm not recommending any of my runners' patients coming in to specifically going into those shoes because my association thinks it's good.
No, you wouldn't pigeonhole that. But look, maybe people who are a bit more influenced and aren't privy on the area of footwear might be a bit more influenced on what the Podiatry Association does endorse, for example. So I don't think we're great examples of if things were really highly endorsed and we didn't like them and they were good for you, for example, at the end of the day, you'll pick and choose for your patient, won't you? But if Vivo came to the Podiatry Station, I would dare say the process in which they got to, there'd probably be a risk-reward ratio in terms of them deciding whether to have a relationship with a company like that. And probably in that case, we know there's been a history of harm wearing the shoes. I don't think they'd probably would pass that pathway. But look, I don't know. I don't know how objective the process is. So to answer that question, Julian.
All right. Thank you for your semi-honest responses.
But what do you think of it? How does it affect you?
It seems ridiculous to me. It seems like
how many practitioners in your area would be referring? Nah. There you go. So,
but for someone on a review to say it's endorsed by to me that's a laughable fucking concept because you just it's so obvious.
Look, these things change, but it changed perception.
Remember when the kid goes to the supermarket or whatever when he first gets left and he takes the toothbrush up to the counter and goes, is this toothbrush endorsed by the American Dental Association? It reminds me of that.
Yeah, look, Colgate, McLean's or whatever. But look, it must be more complicated than that from the back end. I'm not 100% sure. So, but it does change perception. There's no doubt if, like, say, Sports Medicine Australia have been aligned with ASICs for a long time, there's no doubt that there's probably a bit of practitioner education that's biased towards that company. It may filter into the general consumer, or the consumer might ask questions about the little SMA label. And then that's suddenly linked to being maybe in a shoe that has a bit of injury resistance factors to it. Yet we know if we compare a Vomero and a Nimbus 25, the outcomes are probably no different, more than likely.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start having my staff, when they bring out a Hoka, say, do you know this shoe is endorsed by the Australian Podiatry Association? That is gold. That is gold retail on the floor kind of lines. Imagine the confidence that'll build in an oldie, just an old walker.
But it must happen. That has to be the reason why the endorsements happened. There has to be part and parcel of it.
Yeah, well, it's the first I knew about it, so I'm actually going to use it to my advantage.
You wouldn't do that, Julian. You want to know the story of the runner. You want to know what they're doing their long run, what they've experienced, and you want to give them 4 or 5 shoes, and you want them to select one that they have the best experience in.
No, but we know that if they buy into that shoe, if they're confident with the shoe, if they buy in, it's more success rate.
Yeah, but endorsed by Moose, that might just be more powerful than endorsed by the Podiatry Association.
No, not on the floor. Nah, it doesn't work like that. I wish it did.
Doesn't it? Okay.
I wish I had pull.
All right, let's move on.
Now, funny story from the floor today, because I know you love this sort of stuff. So we have like the last existing pairs of the on 10,000 meter spike in the country, I reckon, size 10. It's like, you're not going to find that anywhere. We got a Dragonfly, we got the New Balance LD something. We've got the ASIC. No, we don't have the ASICS premium spike, but Bree was fitting a customer today, and she had all the options for him. The on 10,000 spike, the Dragonfly. I'm like, oh, you're not going to get a better choice of spikes in a store anywhere in this country. And at the very end of the fitting, a comment was made, oh yeah, I'll probably just go home and do some more Googling. And I'm like, oh, you fucking don't know how lucky you are here, and you're going to go home and play around on the internet to try to find like you're talking to Bree, who's got 10 years of experience in running shoes. We're providing you with some of the best options that you would ever find in a store, let alone the internet. You're being able to try them on, and it's still not good enough. So there's none of you're always going to have the customer that will do some more Googling. Those on spikes will be gone in 2 days, and then the Dragonflies will be gone in 10 days. That's just how it goes. So I'd like
he'll be buying a rival D, coming back saying, where can I buy those on spikes for cheaper? And he's like, actually, no, they are the most sought after spike in the entire world right now. We're waiting for the next drop. They
are. Oh yeah. So next drop, I was going to say, we talk a lot about Super Blast. December. We're going to see more stock in December. That should ease. If everyone's stuck around for an hour and 8 minutes, then that's where the little gem is from this podcast.
Literally just saving up that shoe just for long runs only, because it's only going to stretch out to December, I think.
Yeah. All right, boys, I've got to go. It's too late. We had a good chat.
Sounds good.
We did. All right.
I just wait, one last thing. Did you guys see what shoe Kibiwat Candy won Valencia half in?
Oh no, I didn't.
Have a guess.
The Adidas, the light one. What's it called?
Evo 1?
Yeah.
Evo 1, was it?
No.
Takumi Sen?
9.
Oh, Takumi Sen.
Oh, 9. Same as the 8, really. Upper change?
Yeah, I think it's the same midsole.
Oh, wow.
Just thought that was a bit ridiculous.
Wow.
It just goes back to the fact it's still the runner that's got to win the race. The Evo 1 is not going to win the race for you. Evo 1 was second. Kijelcha was in the Evo 1.
Yeah.
Came second.
Wasn't Barrega? No. Who was in the Vaporfly 2? Was it Gabriel?
Gabriel.
Yeah, Vaporfly 2.
next
That
percent
shoe
too.
feels terrible compared to Vaporfly 3.
Yeah, it's
I don't
weird.
know.
It's weird.
It's crazy, isn't it? What's
There's
going
a couple
on?
in the top 5, I think, that we're wearing. I think. Yeah. Also, what's his name? 10K. What's his name? Borrega. Yeah, he was in number 2 as well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Real odd.
Weird.
Okay,
All right,
fellas.
guys.
Until next month.
We'll do.
All right. See ya.
Take care.